So recently there's been rumors that the Spotify music streaming service will be coming to the Xbox One as an app, and therefore I thought this would be the perfect time to release this video about a smaller project I did earlier this year. Basically, I was on my Xbox One and I was getting tired of writing on this, for searching the store and everything, and I thought, could there not be a better alternative for this? Ever since the typewriter made its commercial debut in the late 1800s, the QWERTY keyboard layout has been the standard for text input. It was the obvious choice when transitioning to digital screens on computers, and smartphones kept the layout as the multi-finger input allowed the user to type somewhat efficiently. However, as technology is moving on to different platforms, we must not get stuck on old habits. One example is Microsoft's newest gaming console, the Xbox One. Not solely aimed at video games, the Xbox wants to be a media platform in which the user can browse the internet, watch videos, and post to social media. Now, most of these activities require some sort of text input, so writing on the Xbox should of course be easy, right? Unfortunately, Microsoft has stuck with the usual on-screen keyboard, which is awkwardly navigated using the controller's analog sticks. To investigate new input possibilities, I now present two solutions for using the Xbox controller in terms of writing text. Whereas the current implementation simply allows for the user to navigate up, down, left and right, my solutions try to take full advantage of the analog sticks. Instead of restricting the output to 4 directions, I utilize the diversity of the 360-degree input to allow for up to 30 selections. The simple solution maps the alphabet to different directions on the left analog stick, dedicating 12 degrees of the input to each character. Selecting letters, deleting and adding space can be done using the buttons on the right side of the controller. The advanced solution splits 32 characters into 2 groups which are divided amongst the 2 analog sticks and uses the triggers for selecting letters. The bumpers are used for deleting and adding space and ensures that the user technically will never have to move other fingers than their thumbs while typing. To evaluate the suggested solutions, I set up a small writing test. The task was to write every word in a pool of 10 randomly selected words as quick as possible. The test was conducted 3 times, but with the length of the words expanding every time, starting at 4 letters, then 8, and finally 12. Both the simple and advanced solution was tested, as well as the current implementation present on the Xbox One. Finally, I calculated the average time needed to complete a word in every word pool to be used as the conclusive measurements. The results were as follows. All implementations performed nearly identical in the 4-letter pool, with the simple solution scoring the best time of 4.41 seconds. Doubling the number of letters led to the advanced solution performing slightly better, clocking in at 0.7 seconds shorter than the 2 other implementations. In the test with 12-letter words, the original Xbox One implementation performed the best, barely beating the advanced solution. The simple solution lagged behind with almost 2 seconds more for every word. That's basically the results of the test. These are not supposed to be conclusive, Tested myself only. It matters how much experience you have with writing on controllers. Again, the purpose of this was just to do it as quick as possible, which is not necessarily the right setting. So don't take these findings as a definitive result. Of course, more needs to be done if you need some proper things, but this was just to test it and see, is there actually something worth researching in this area. I think looking at the solutions, the simple and the advanced one, of course there are differences between the two. The simple is much easier to get into. The learning curve is not nearly as steep as on the advanced, but the precision had some issues. It was just a bit too narrow between each letter to make this worthwhile. Where the advanced solution actually worked pretty well, but you need some time to get into that and understand how that works. This is the discussion between learning something new versus using existing knowledge. And when it comes to international standards, it's very difficult to change something, even for the better, just because it has become a standard of writing with your keyboard, and knowing where the letters are already helps a lot. I think it's also worth noting that comfort was not part of the test, and I think that's a very important part when you're trying to write, especially if you write a lot. So that should definitely be taken into account in the future. I think what the test really showed was how easy it was to get into this. I spent a few minutes with each solution beforehand just trying to type, and immediately I basically got the same speed as with the keyboard. So I can't even imagine how efficient you can be in typing if you actually spend a lot of time learning this. And I think that's the takeaway from this, is there is something to do here. It is not efficient the way we use controllers to write, but it can be if we just utilize the actual functions of this. My best bet for the next iteration would be kind of a 2-ring solution, a mix of the two, the simple and advanced, where you will only use one thumbstick and then use one of the triggers as kind of a modifier to switch between the two. Maybe it's something I'll work on in the future, bring back this project again, but we'll see. If you're interested in the history of the QWERTY keyboard or just how we design around international standards, you should definitely take a look at Don Norman's The Design of Everyday Things. It's a classic, a lot of good knowledge. He has an entire section just dedicated to the typewriter and the QWERTY keyboard, how that kind of comes together. So check that out if you want to know more. That being said, that's all for now. Thank you all for watching, and take care.